Madam Chair, we are streaming live and recording on Zoom. You may begin when you're ready.
Okay. Welcome and good morning to the Metro Plan Orlando TSMO meeting. I will call the meeting to order. My name is Lee Pullum and I'll be chairing the meeting today. This meeting is in person. It is important for all TSMO members to attend our meetings in person. So all committee members are asked to be present at the Metro Plan Orlando boardroom for us to have a quorum. Members of the public will still be able to participate virtually, and we encourage them to do so. There are 2 public comment points in the meeting. Members of the public attending in person who want to speak need to fill out a comment card and give it to Rachel. Those attending on Zoom who want to speak can use the raise hand feature on the Zoom screen. We also accept comments by email and phone message before the meeting. At this time, I'd like to recognize Mr. Eric Hill, Metro Plan Orlando staff, for an agenda review.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Good morning, everyone in the room and online. Good to see you this morning. A couple items that I want to just share with you. After this meeting at the TAC meeting, there will be a TAC-only presentation on the Metropolitan Transportation Plan Box Fund applications. And I also want to draw everyone's attention to an event that we had in October, on October the 15th, which is the Blind Experience. And this was an opportunity for people that are not sight impaired to have that experience. And this is something that Metro Plan Orlando coordinates each year, and it's an opportunity for everyone to have that shared experience. So as we plan, this is a group that we need to understand also has mobility needs that we have to integrate. And I know that TSMO is one of these areas that usually looks at how we move vehicles, but there are other groups that need to have our services, and this is one. There's also a couple other items I want to bring your attention to. At the TAC meeting, and this is in the agenda, the common presentation on the status of the 2050 MTP. Taylor has a very good presentation, and I'd encourage everyone to try and hang around to see the presentation. Also, we have a few items that are upcoming. We have the 9th annual Bike 5 city event. I know everyone in here is a cyclist, right? That's what you do. Many of you rode a bike this morning, right? Right. So did I, right.
Yesterday.
Yesterday.
He's still right.
Oh, so, okay. So
it's what this is yesterday.
Yeah, you're right. So that was yesterday. But also we have the Florida Bike Association Summit on November the 14th. I think a lot of folks in here usually go to the Florida Autonomous Vehicle Summit each year. That's going to be here in the Orlando area on November the 5th through the 7th at the Omni Champions Gate Resort. And then lastly, on Veterans Day, November the 11th, and on Thanksgiving, our offices will be closed, as I would imagine your offices will be closed as well. So, Madam Chair, I also want to recognize a few new members. Aris Kaba from the City of Orlando, it's new. Jeremy Owens from Sanford Airport, back in the corner. And Daniel Bullong, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Don't see him. Okay, but he is with Winter Garden. So these are 3 new members, Madam Chairwoman. That's all that I have this morning to share with you. I now turn it over to the safety moment for Mike Wilson.
Thank you, Eric, and good morning, everyone. We're back around to October for Pedestrian Safety Month. And this time around, we just want to share actually some good news. And that is that we've been seeing a very significant drop in pedestrian fatalities. And it's really associated with impairment. If you look at this chart here, going back through 2017, The blue and orange are alcohol and drugs, where the pedestrian was impaired with either of those for fatalities. 2025 is a projection based on the first 6 months of this year, but you can see just how dramatically those impaired pedestrian crashes have dropped off. When we look at the motorist side of the pedestrian fatalities, we see a similar decline. Again, the blue being impaired, and we've also added hit and run because I think it's a reasonable assumption that a fair amount of those could involve an impaired driver. So again, seeing significant drops there. And so, we're down from back down to the levels of 2020 when the crashes were really low because there were so few cars and pedestrians on the road because of COVID. And then just looking at total crashes, not just pedestrian, for all fatal crashes, again, seeing that same pattern. Now, why is this happening? Well, it's actually tied to a nationwide decline in alcohol consumption and drug use. And where we're seeing the biggest drop on the crash side of things is we're also where we're seeing the biggest drop in alcohol consumption, which is like Gen Z age group. So teens and 20s are where the biggest drop is. They had like a 70% drop in alcohol related crashes, while the other ages were at about 30% drop. So good news to share. And that concludes our safety moment for this month. Be happy to take any questions. Oh, sorry, one more slide. Yeah, here, just to kind of put it all in, to encapsulate it a little bit. Forgot I had one more slide. So you can see that it's really impairment on the pedestrian side that's really driving the entire decline, because we actually saw an increase in unimpaired pedestrian fatalities. And there you see the how that compares also with the driver activities as well. All right, and that concludes it. Yeah.
Just curious, those numbers were for the metro plan area?
Our 3-county area, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, but seeing it the same statewide. Yeah. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, next we have agency reports.
Madam Chair, we do not have an agency.
No agency report. Okay. Really? Are there no agency? No. Agencies are not doing anything? No. Okay. So now we will move to roll call. Rachel, you may proceed with the roll call.
Thank you. If members can please remember to turn their microphone on before responding with here or present, and then turn your microphone off. Barden.
Present.
Crandell for Barkessa.
Here.
Boswell.
Here.
Henry for Brock.
Here.
Cubber.
Here.
Lott for Cologne.
Here.
Delachey.
Here.
Ide.
Present.
Alisar.
Present.
Elliot Moore. Gomez.
Here.
Gordon.
Here.
Horn. Wynne.
Here.
Jameson.
Here.
McGrath.
Here.
Mendenhall.
Here.
Owens.
Yes, ma'am.
Perez.
Here.
Price.
Here.
Pullum. Ramdat.
Present.
Sadler.
Present.
Sanders.
Here.
Saunier.
Here.
Senerins.
Here.
Singh.
Here.
Smith.
Present.
Wetzel.
Here.
Wharton.
Here.
Malone for Williams. Yeager.
Present.
Yeargain.
Here.
Madam Chair, that concludes the roll call. We do have a quorum.
We now hear public comments. We have action items. Okay, we'll now hear public comments on actions items. We ask that you provide your name and address for the record, and please hold your comments to 2 minutes or less. If any members of the public wish to comment and are joining us virtually, please use the raise hand function and you will be recognized. Or dial *9 on your phone We'll send you a prompt to unmute your mic. Do we have anyone joining us virtually who would like to make a comment?
We have no hands raised online.
Okay. Do we have any members of the public attending in person who wish to make a public comment?
No comments received.
Are there any written comments that were submitted before the meeting?
None.
No. Okay. All right, we have 4 action items today. Members making or seconding a motion, please state your name. Our first item is approval of the August 22nd, 2025 TSMO minutes. They're in section 1 of your agenda packet. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Okay. Is there a motion to approve?
Madam Chair. Motion support, but I'll start.
Okay,
Second, Chad Smith.
okay. Is there any discussion? No, it has been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Okay, the motion passes. Our second action item is staff's request for amendments to the fiscal year 2025-26 to fiscal 2029-30 Transportation Improvement Program, the TIP. More information can be found in section 2 of your agenda package. We will hear from Mr. Jason Sartorio of MetroPlan Orlando, who will tell us more about these items.
Thank you.
Mr. Sartorio, you may have the floor.
Good morning, Madam Chair and committee members. This morning, I have 12 TIP amendments for you, and additional information on these amendments is located in section 2 of your agenda packets. The first 6 of these amendments will be adding new projects to the TIP that are receiving state legislative appropriations. All these projects are listed on the screen. Each project has EM26 funding as well as local funds that are being programmed for construction in fiscal year 2026. The next 5 amendments are for new railroad crossing projects. These projects are eligible for federal funding and must be included into the TIP to allow for the authorization of those funds. All 5 projects are listed on the screen, and each project has RHH funds that are being added for the railroad and utility phase in fiscal year 2026. And the last amendment is for an existing Links 5310 project. This amendment is adding FTA as well as local funds for operations in fiscal year 2026. As I mentioned earlier, you have some additional information on these amendments looking in section 2 of your agendas. With that being said, or unless there are any questions, we're asking for your recommendation of approval. Thank you.
It has been, is there a motion to approve? Okay. And is there a second?
I'll second, Chad Smith.
Is there any discussion? If none, it has been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign? No, the motion passes. Next, we are asked to appoint a subcommittee to select candidates to serve as the TSMO chairman and the vice chairman from January through December of 2026. Mr. Eric Hill of MetroPlan Orlando will provide the details.
Okay, good morning again. We go through this each year and we look for representatives, typically from each of the counties, to serve on the subcommittee to, in most cases, nominate a vice chairperson because typically the current vice chair rotates into the chair's position. And so we're requesting representatives from, or one from each of the counties to serve on this selection committee. You can volunteer. Osm, so that's Orange County. Gary from Osceola.
I'll do it this time.
Chad, okay.
Charlie's not volunteering too quick. I'll go ahead.
So we just need to have this this selection committee confirmed.
Okay, is there a second? Okay. Is there any discussion? Okay, it has been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Same sign. Okay, the motion passes. Lastly, we are asked to approve the 2026 Metro Plan Orlando Committee. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong one. Okay, let's see. All right, sorry. I'm not on the wrong one. Lastly, we're asked to approve the 2026 Metro Plan Orlando Committee meeting schedule. The full schedule has been included in section 3. Mr. Eric Hill, Metro Plan Orlando, will provide the details.
So it's in the agenda and we just need action on approving this meeting schedule.
Okay.
If there are any questions.
Do you have a question?
So this year did I understand right? They're moving the May meeting to April. Is that what we've done? And we're not gonna do a May meeting? Or-
Just from
Cause
TSMO?
I was confused by the asterisk, made it sound, said holiday adjustment, but, or is the meeting still then? You just moved it out a week? Is that what?
Well, we can meet on that date, but because that's a holiday weekend, usually there's a question on whether or not we should meet.
Okay, cause it says holiday adjustment, so I wasn't sure.
Well, that's probably what we're just.
Or
Go
was
ahead,
it
go ahead.
the previous Monday, and instead of having it the week before, we moved it
We're
here?
avoiding Memorial Day, I think, so we're going a week later.
Okay, so instead of being the week before, you moved
Correct.
it a week later.
Yeah.
Got it. Just wanted to make sure I understood what the little thing was for, so,
Okay.
yeah, sure, got it.
Because we usually have not a lot, but we usually have some discussion on
Yeah.
meeting that weekend,
Right.
or for that week.
Excellent, thank you.
Madam Chair, we just need
Are
action.
there, pardon? Someone else had a question? Yeah, question.
I know it's not for TSMO, but with the Orlando board meeting and the MAC being right around July 4th for those July meetings, is there any concern? I know it's not our meeting, but I just didn't know, because the second, there's gonna probably be a lot of people that probably won't be there.
That would be discussed at the MAC
Yeah.
meeting.
All right. Great. So, is there a motion to approve? Okay. Do we have a second? Second, okay. We have a motion. It has been properly moved and seconded. Are those in favor? Please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Same sign. Okay, the motion passes. All right. Okay. We have 2 presentations. We will hold questions until each presentation ends.
So the first presentation is on the Metro Plan Orlando 2023-24 before and after signal retiming study. This is an annual program, and we always solicit corridors or intersections from each of the maintaining agencies for retiming. So most of the information that's being presented is common to most of you, I would imagine. And the question on why we do this, it's to improve traffic flow, reduce travel delay. In some instances, we try and reduce speeding, and then improve intersections for bicyclists and pedestrians. That is one of the areas that needs more attention, I would imagine, only because more and more of us are using micro mobility. It's called micro mobility, but most of them are modified motorcycles. That's what I typically see, because they're very large and they usually travel a little bit faster than most bikes. But this year, or in 2024, there were 4 intersections that we retimed in 20 corridors. There is a handout at each of your seats with it's an infographic with all the information on what I'm presenting to you this morning. Kittleson and Associates conducts the before and after study for us, and Jennifer Musselman is online. Jennifer, you there?
I'm here. Good morning, everyone.
Great. Okay, so Jennifer's online in case there are some questions about the methodology that we use. So here's Orange County in the roadways that we retimed in 2024. Here's Seminole County and Osceola County. And each year we ask each of the maintaining agencies for the roads that they would like for us to retire. So each year we get more and more requests because we get more and more traffic signals that we have to retime. And at the end, I'd like to have some discussion on how to address this because the increased traffic signals increase the cost. And sometimes we can't do all of the traffic signal requests that we have. There's a history here. We started in 2009. And of course, the technology in how data is being collected has changed. And we did the floating cars, and then we used Bluetooth devices. And now we're using connected vehicles. And at some point, I would imagine that as cars become more and more smarter, and as we as technicians start to deploy more technology, the phrase digital infrastructure is being discussed as where we're headed. And so as we move further into the future, this whole process and how we do manage our traffic signals is going to evolve. These are the performance measures that we use: travel time, reliability, emissions, fuel savings, intersection delay, pedestrian delay, and quarter progression. And that's where we usually focus on with our before and after studies. In terms of quarters, 50% of the quarters have a shorter travel time. 80% have reliable travel times before and after the retirement. Increased vehicle emissions, or there was an increase in vehicle emissions by 59 tons. Increased in fuel consumption. 25% of individual intersections had less delay. 6% had less pedestrian delay. And then 85% of the quarters now have motors stopping fewer times. Now, in that handout, you'll see that one of the areas that we usually focus on is the benefit cost. And it was a negative 0.04 in terms of our benefit cost. And I have to say that we've become used to winning in this area because we've always had a positive. And I can recall when we first started, it was very high, but it has come down. It's trended down. And this is what I'm referring to. This is usually what we measure this work by, is the benefit cost. Now, what I want to have more discussion on is looking at a different way in which we measure this work. Now, I know that there's other areas around the country that do it a little different, and perhaps we need to start looking at those measurements. So this is what I was referring to. In 22, we had a negative 6.0. Now, I made the argument that it was negative because Osceola County didn't participate, but we also had roadways that were being retimed that had schools on them. And so for me, that was understandable. We don't want to increase speeds in school zones. But you can see the trend. The trend is going down. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it may point to something else that we need to address. This is just a summary of what we look at, and it's a balancing act. And that's basically what it is. It's how we do things. And it's not always going to balance out. We recognize that. But is there another way for us to measure this? Now, this is where I hope we can have some discussion, because now we are starting to begin this year's retiming effort. We've already given all the roadways to the vendors to start the retiming, the data collection. And after they do the after data collection, perhaps there's a different way for us to measure the results. As I mentioned, we're used to winning. And typically when I give the presentation, all the committees are happy with the results. And I'm wondering if they'll be happy knowing that now there's a negative. And will that continue? Because at some point, we can only retime roadways so much to get some kind of positive return. And it may lead, or I would hope it would lead us all to start thinking about perhaps improved transit in those corridors, or other ways that we can improve mobility. But again, we're used to winning. And winning can mask a lot of underlying issues. I believe that the consultants that are collecting the data are doing a great job. Or retiming the signals, they're doing a good job. But as I just mentioned, the signals may already be well optimized. When we first started this, that wasn't the case. And so that's why we had such great improvements. But we may be at a point where some quarters, we just can't do much more in terms of retiming. The effectiveness of the plans that have been implemented. Now, we try and coordinate it so that data is being collected before and after when school is in, on both ends. That's a good reflection of how people are traveling. Doesn't always work out that way. There can be some incidents or work on a road that delays when we can collect data before or after. And so the plans, there can be a little hiccup there in how we implement the plans. We need to do, I believe, a better job of coordinating between each of the vendors, especially where we have roadways that intersect. Because we have 4 consultants, we try to allocate the work out as equally as possible. But in many instances, they're doing cross coordination. And so we want to look at how we can improve that. This last one, the side street delays. I can recall when we first started doing this, one of the consistent questions we got were, yeah, you're improving the main corridor, but the side streets, we have to wait longer. And so we actually did a sample and we looked at side streets, and there were no extended delays there. I think that was just what people believed. However, some of that is starting to occur now. And a lot of that's just reflection of the growth that we're experiencing and the demands on the roadways. Also, work zones. Again, the coordination of the work, sometimes they start and then there's some construction that happens. A sidewalk gets improved, so that creates the delay. And I know that in one of the instances, Claricona-Ocoee roadway, the speed on that roadway was reduced and a signal was added. So that disrupted the coordination, not only between the vendors, but the coordination for before and after. So I shared with all the maintaining agencies that submitted quarters some of the information I've gotten from some of my peers around the country. And they made some suggestions on how we can maybe modify or evolve how we're doing this, and then also the methodology that we're using to evaluate it. Doesn't always have to be about moving vehicles fast, because the benefit cost, that's what it relies on in terms of its effectiveness. And so as we move into the retiming effort this year, I want to have more close coordination between the maintaining agencies as well as the vendors and how they're doing the work, but also have a discussion with Kittlesons on how they or what methodology they're using to evaluate the work. And is there a way for us to, again, evolve it, change it a little bit to reflect what is occurring on our roadways? So, Madam Chair, that concludes my presentation. You're chomping at the bit here.
Yes. Go ahead, Hazel.
Thank you very much for presenting this.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to add is related to the methodology that we use to calculate the benefit. It's really only taken into account the travel time at this time. And it needs to be more inclusive of the other metrics that we're collecting data on. And one parameter that can be used is the performance index, which is a combination of several metrics. So that because we do care about the side street, as you mentioned, and the side street only it's not only for vehicles but also for pedestrians. Pedestrians can be a major impact, especially when you have school zones. I get complaints on Narcosi Road, for example, including from Metroplan staff. and I think
We travel too. We got to get here somehow.
it includes 3 schools: elementary, middle, and high school, and also includes community college. Valencia College is there. There's various commercial and residential developments. So all of these developments require crossing the street. It's a 6-lane road. So it takes more than a minute to cross the street at one intersection. Multiply that by 12 intersections, and you can imagine what we're dealing with here. So.
Well, that's one of the recommendations I got from one of my peers from out in Las Vegas. And I shared a report that he completed on 2 cities where he's done time efforts, and that is to develop an index that reflects all these issues, all these factors. And you mentioned you mentioned schools. Charlie brought to my attention, is it 25 graduations at UCF? 28 graduations that occurred during this effort. So that created some hiccups in how the data was being collected.
Yeah, on your summary sheet, all 3 metrics have said increase. So shouldn't it be a decrease? I mean, did it get better or it got worse?
Which one are you referring to?
Like the increase in travel time delays, 23,000 vehicle hours per year.
Okay, let me defer to Jennifer.
I'm sorry?
Jennifer?
Yes, so for it's an increase in travel time on average for the corridors. So there was increased delay seen. Is that the question? Why is the benefit cost ratio negative?
Did that answer your question, Material? Yeah. So that's the increased travel time. Again, it contributes to the negative BC ratio. And that's part of the comment I was making about moving vehicles and relying on the BC as a measure of how effective this program is.
So does that mean that we should revert back to what it was before we made the timing changes and things like that?
But one more thing I wanted to add here is really the penetration rate for the data collection, because you're using one vendor that has a lower penetration rate than other vendors who use probe data, and that can be a factor in how accurate the data is to start with. So,
Yeah, and you both touched more, you house them on what I'm suggesting here, based on, this anecdotal evidence. Is that we need to, this time around, we need to look at the methodology we're using. We're not only measuring it, but how we're coordinating the retiming effort. So, I mean, this has been something we've been practicing now for many years. Not much has changed in how we do it. But I think the evidence, again, we're used to winning, but that can mask a lot of things. And I think that's what's starting to come to the surface. And I'm not being critical. I'm just trying to respond to what is occurring and how we need to adjust or adapt to what's occurring.
So, thank you, Madam Chair. Eric, I agree with Hazem about the methodology. And just looking at that, I'm wondering, we have a policy where we are trying to not widen roadways. Are we making our roadways more efficient by moving more volume by mode? And that's not accounted for in here.
Okay.
Right, that's a big deal. That would change that B over C ratio.
Okay.
So the volume per mode, Hazem was onto something looking at pedestrian movement. But we need to look at all modes, and I think there's a winner there.
Winner, chicken dinner. But, and I agree with you, and again,
We're not widening, we don't want to widen our
No,
roadways.
of course not.
So we're looking at how we make our roadways overall more efficient.
Mhm.
Right? So if we're not just looking at the travel time, of the vehicles, but looking at the volume, the increased volume per mode that we're able to move
Mhm.
without having to widen a roadway, makes a big difference.
Okay. Well, from what I'm hearing, I trust that you all share my interest in changing how we do this or modifying, be more reflective of what it is we're accomplishing.
yeah, I just wanted to clarify. So I agree with all of this. The increase in metrics for the type of mode, I agree with that. The safety of the roadway, I think that should be looked into. Because just because we got a decrease, you never know if they did a traffic calming in the area. So that traffic calming is going to increase the safety. It's going to intentionally slow down the traffic. You might have a mid-block crossing placed in there. So that's going to slow them down. That's going to increase the delay, but it might, like Charles said, increase the efficiency of the roadway compared to every other mode of traffic on that. So just again, like Eric said, just looking into the different types of metrics for mode for safety, I think that would be a good way to go to look for benefit cost ratio.
Just one more thing. A big deal on corridors that go across boundaries is that sometimes you have some speeding that is going way beyond the regular platoon traffic flow. And maybe this helps to control some of that. So that's another thing to look at. And that's going along with the safety consideration. So I think we ought to look back at the methodology like Hazem said and see if we can refine it.
Eric, can I add on something quickly to that point?
Sure.
Totally agree. And just wanted to highlight one of the wins we did get this year is the reduction in the number of vehicles stopping and starting at intersections. So while their overall end-to-end travel time might not have improved, they're generally traveling at a more consistent speed. And I think that's a good indication of how the agencies are trying to balance the safety and the mobility along the corridor.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good point. And I think on your chart here, you should put that.
Should add that? Okay.
So forgive me, please, one more thing on that. If we are reducing the starting and stopping, why would the emissions not go down?
I think that could come back to they made cars more efficient at a higher speed. And that was one of the two things I was going to say. was, they made these cars even more efficient, so they're better to go 65. Used to be get them to go 45, 50, they got better gas miles. Now they're going 65 and they're getting better gas miles. So if you reduce the speed, there's less stopping. It doesn't necessarily mean it's more efficient on the gas mileage. And I don't know what use the Texas A&M or whatever rates, Texas rates. I'm sure they're the ones doing the study where we get the gas mileage and the emissions part. So, I don't know how that comes into effect, but I'm sure that's part of it. My other thing was the speed. That's what I was going to point out is, are the corridors safer? Because we have such a problem with speeding. If we come back and we've gotten the speeds back down to 45 or 40 where they should be, that's a win. That's a huge win. And somehow we need to show that in our data, somehow. And like you said, with Haslam, getting the methodology corrected or represented correctly would be really good. So.
But the other reason I'm kind of skeptical about the data is I'm not seeing an increase in the number of complaints we're getting after the implementation of these retirement plans. That's why I'm not planning on going back to the old plans, although they're showing better results here.
Did you say you're not getting complaints?
I'm not getting an increase in complaints.
Oh, okay. I think that's a win, right?
From the
Okay.
adjustment.
I just want to be clear.
Because if you're showing negative results, it will
Right.
show an increase in complaints, but I'm not seeing that.
Right, and that's again, that's part of why I wanted to have this discussion. And again, 0.04, it's not 6.0. I mean, that's what we had in 22.
Right. You're magnifying that by the.
Yeah, okay.
On top here. That's why I
Okay.
think it needs to be changed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, we're used to winning, okay?
This is supposed to be just a before and after study, not adding speed bumps or anything like that. There's no infrastructure improvements here, right?
Yeah, okay.
So, thanks. So to touch on some of those points, especially the work zones, I live in Osceola County and I commute to Orlando. And throughout the Metro Orlando area, I see construction everywhere. So maybe we should evaluate if some of the corridors that have a negative BC are impacted by construction around them, and see if there's a change in volume before and after with kind of like cut through traffic.
Right. Yeah, I sent the report out to the vendors, and they were, they were great in responding on why, and they did a good summary for me. And again, that's what has led me to believe that we need to look at how we're doing not only the work, but how we're measuring the work. Because again, this is the way we've been doing it for last 10 years at least. And I know that things in the industry have changed. And so we need to adapt to those changes.
One concern I would have is that if we do change the methodology, how are we going to compare it to the previous years?
Well, maybe we don't, and maybe we establish a different baseline.
Yeah, I got one other thing. I like what Charles was saying about efficiency by mode. I'm very interested in how Lynx is performing through these corridors, and I'm very interested in the on-time arrival percent, and because it's a diminishing return on our investments if their delays increase. So if we were going to look at another metric as part of this, perhaps we look at the Lynx performance in these corridors as well. And that brings up the concept of priority, preemption, and that sort of thing that we probably should be looking at as a whole.
Good point. And I'll defer to the maintaining agencies on that one. Sorry.
So can we, I know you maybe hinted at it, but can we have like a meeting with Kittleson to, like, for this year's projects, talk about the methodology, how they're gonna do it? Because
you're right, each corridor isn't necessarily travel time through the corridor, right? We could be looking at speed or safety, or a lot of times if you have a crossing interchange or something, you're trying to reduce the delay on the ramps, not necessarily, improve the travel time on the corridor. So each retiming project has a different goal. So I think maybe it's a good time to kind of reevaluate our before and after and any changes we should make.
Good. Well, unless there are any other questions, I like the camaraderie here in terms of us, adapting to how we do this. And I look forward to the maintaining agencies to working with us on improving this. This is, for me, it's process improvement. How do we improve what we're doing but it's reflective of what's going on. And again, we will schedule some time with Kittleson as well as with the vendors to talk about how we are doing this and how we can make changes to it. Thank you. I'm done. I think so.
Great discussion, though. Okay, our second presentation this morning is on TSMO activities within the city of Altamont Springs, including a demonstration of software used for assessing pavement conditions in real time by Mr. Lenny Barden, City of Altamont Springs. Mr. Barden, you may proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair and committee. I wanted to go through today to talk about two topics that the city is working on. A road pavement assessment tool and to give you an update on crane rides. So a little bit about myself. Many of you know me. Been in Florida for about 5 years, 10 years in the DC metro area. The TAC chair. I've been on ITS Maryland and the American Society of Highway Engineers. And I'm just really committed to trying to bring our neighborhood and our community safer. One of the big things, transportation really isn't just about roads anymore. Society is changing. People expect real-time information, safer roads, and choices beyond a car. So all of our work has to evolve. So today, I'm going to talk about our autonomous vehicle program known as Crane Rides and our pavement assessment tool that's brought to us with a partnership with RoboSyst Inc. So let's jump into Crane Rides. Recently, a few months back, we expanded our shuttle from just being a circulator around the mall to going right to the front door of Advent Health. And in January, we plan to expand to Sunrail. So what is Crane Rides? Many of you know that it's our shuttle program. It's operated by Beep. The idea is simple. We want to give people a safe, easy, and sustainable way to connect to neighborhoods, to connect to jobs, to connect to healthcare, and to transit. This program really has become the foundation of how we're rethinking about mobility in our city, and I hope it will spark some interest with you all. So we started, that green route is what we ran in our phase 1 route. It was for us to learn about the challenges of this new software. Many of you may have seen it or ridden on it. There was Swan here in Orlando, same vehicle that the Navia is what we were using. As we go into phase 2, which we're operating right now, we expanded across Palm Springs Drive and went through a public shopping center that then ties right into Advent Health. And as we move into January, it's a little hard to see here, but you can now see the red. We expand east of Advent Health through local roads and dedicated trail that the city built, and we will connect to Sunrail. And then as we move forward, because we can't just stop at Sunrail, we have to keep going and seeing how we can provide a better service, more commuting options. We are looking at extending outside of the city footprint into unincorporated Seminole County. And you can see in that opportunity zone, that's the East Altamont area, which used to be a part of the city. But back in the 50s and 60s, they de-annexed from the city due to some issues that we're trying to amend those relationships now. And this is a great opportunity. They don't have a connection to Sunrail today from that neighborhood. that we built a ramp that will get you from Sunrail East, but there's still no transit. There's no real service to get those people. And there's a Boys and Girls Club. There's a community center. There's affordable housing. And many in that green route area are all single family homes. We built a park a few years back before this route came in, right on Amanda Street to try to prepare for what's to come. So the numbers. As of June, we have served over 10,000 riders, and the majority of that was circulating a 4-stop route around a mall. So you were having to drive to the mall to get on this. In January, you can go from your house to any of the Sunrail stations, and you'll be able to hop on Crane rides and get around Altamont from a Sunrail station. Where were we? Sorry about that. And I did want to hit that we were in the first few years of service, we had operated for 79% of what we had scheduled. We know when we connect to Sunrail, that has to be 99 to 100%. There is no, it's down. We can't get the people from Sunrail to the next Lynx station or to their job or to their house. But as a circulator, we were able to have it go down, and we could figure out how do we make sure that this is always reliable. I know Doug and Lynx presented on this about a year ago, and how they had backup drivers and shuttles ready to go in case Swan went down. So the big thing from it was 61% of all that downtime was preventable. Now, preventable is maintenance issues, attendance not showing up, battery issues, signal loss. A lot of these can be resolved. And with the new vehicle that I'll show you soon, many of these will just go away. And then when we go to the non-preventable, those are the ones that we really struggled with. It's weather, city events, holiday closures, heavy traffic. Well, you see the big one, 33%. The Navias that we're operating right now cannot operate in heavy rain. Their technology sees rain as a wall. Our next vehicle, the Carson, is using computer vision and LiDAR. So that 33% is going to go away right off the top. Now, if there's a hurricane, we're not going to operate, but pretty much in every other condition, we'll be able to run. Ridership, you can see it peaked and dropped throughout the past 3 years. Again, this is only through June, but you'll see it's pretty much around the holiday events, our October, our December, when they're shopping. That's where we saw a big uptick, but that was because it was only circulating around the mall. And now into the next steps with Crane rides. So we're solving the problem in Uptown Altamont right by Sunrail, but what about the southern part of the city and Maitland? How do people go from Seminole State College to the Advent Health corporate campus, or the new apartments that are coming in, or to the Maitland Center? We're in the process right now of developing a concept that will connect Seminole State College, Advent Health's corporate campus, the apartments that are all going in, and there's new ones coming into that area just north of Gateway Drive, just west of our plant. And we have plans to connect this shuttle all the way down to the Maitland Center. So trying to connect 2 different cities to our city. So the next generation, the Carson. Right now it's being used in Michigan State. We have it at SunTrax right now being tested. We're going to deploy those in early January. These vehicles can operate like a regular vehicle. It's not just autonomous. You can get in there and drive it like you're driving a car. So if there's ever a failure or a safety issue or a concern, or you have to get it out of the way, a human can take over it, and you don't need to be trained with special controls like we have right now for the Navias. Right now, it's a joystick that you would have to go through training and figure out how to do it. If you have a driver's license, you can drive this vehicle. It can operate at highway speeds. We will not be going up to 65 miles an hour autonomously. This is going to stay on our low volume, 20, 25 miles an hour max. But we're really excited about this. It has a larger capacity. And you'll be able to see it probably January 2nd. And if you're going to FAV, they will have this, the Carson and DazTech will have a shuttle that you can touch, feel, get on, and experience. So now we move on to our innovative roadway pavement assessment tool, RoboAssist. We partnered through Agile with RoboAssist Inc. And really, we're trying to think that innovation isn't a buzzword for us. It's really how we rethink how we take care of our streets and roads. We're not going to wait for potholes to appear and for roads to get bad, for us to then act as we've been doing historically. We are trying to be more preventative as opposed to reactionary. And that's what this tool will help us with. So what is road triage? It's an advanced AI-powered software, basically using the computer vision on, or the video camera on your cell phone with an app and an algorithm. You just mount this phone to your car, you drive the road, it goes up to the cloud, and it's able to use an AI machine learning algorithm that they've done that then can pick out cracks, potholes, distress, rough rides, basically anything inside of the edge of pavement to edge of pavement. We really want to move from expensive guesswork to the affordable hard facts. Right now, you can go and look and say, okay, it looks like it's cracking. Let's see what we have to do. And now you may spend a lot of money to get that repaired, where we're able to see in real time every couple months as we drive this as how it's getting. If it's getting worse, we're able to react faster. So challenges today, financial. That is one of the biggest ones. Everybody here knows that to reconstruct a road is about 4 times more expensive than just resurfacing. So we're trying to get to that road before we have to completely reconstruct it. How do we keep repairing it to keep that life going? And what they're able to do with this is a more effective, cost-efficient method that we're able to go through. We were able to do our entire city in 4 days with 3 people who learned that morning how to use the tool. I don't know if any of you have done pavement assessments before, but it's usually a 6-month process. It's arduous. This was able to give us a real image of our roads within about 2 days after we uploaded the data. So now a few others, asset management. You know, roads are our largest asset for most entities. It's also the one that people see the most. So you really have an issue when you're doing a visual inspection. You have 2 inspectors that can inspect it differently. This is taking that out because you're able to take a snapshot of that moment in time. And you'll see we basically have a Google Earth of our roadways and all of the pavement conditions. But where are we? Yep, there we go. So just beyond dollars and cents, you got to think about safety. Poor road conditions are a major factor in traffic accidents. If your road's smooth, if it's taken care of, you have a safer road. They're also the top complaint. You know, when someone comes into your area, I get probably about 10 calls a day. Hey, there's a pothole, or this road's bumpy, or going over Sunrail, the railroad crossings is not smooth. Everybody feels that. They might not see a sign that's damaged, but they're going to feel how their car's riding on the road or how their bike's riding. So with this automation, we're able to improve our roads faster and be proactive, not reactive, and we're able to save lives. That's the biggest thing, being proactive and saving lives. So the process for this, as I was saying, you mount a camera to your windshield, you hit go, you drive, you stop. That's all the user has to do. And then make sure that that phone is connected to Wi-Fi at the end of the day. It gets sent up to the cloud. Their perception engine then takes all of that information and creates a map for us. And then I have a web map, or I can download the data. Right now, we're using the web map just to see how everything's running. Eventually, we'll most likely, as the years end, we'll download all the data to store on our system. We're also looking to integrate this into our digital twin once that's developed. This is what you'll be able to see once you have your assessment completed. You're going to have a map of your area. You're going to be able to see what's going on, where issues are. You have heat maps, spot maps. The images on the bottom, you can see there's little red boxes. I have bigger ones that will come later on in the presentation, but that's the AI identifying issues in the roadway. We're also looking to identify pavement markings, signs, any vertical things outside of the pavement. So now we're also collecting asset management. And now we're able to see, okay, is that pavement marking faded, as opposed to just looking at the asphalt, where now we can say we have 6,000 turn lane arrows. Okay, which ones do we have to replace? And it can identify all of that for us. So in action, let's slide that over. Oh, wait, sorry, not yet. This is in case the web fails. When you go into the portal, you'll have a map here. you would click on any of those roads that you see green, yellow, or red. Those are the roads that we've mapped. So where you see the white roads, those are outside of our limits of the city. So we did not map many of those. There are a few that we got on the state roads outside of the city and some of the county roads. But that data we are free to share to the county, but it's only a couple roads. But as you get in, you would click on a road. This pop-up would come. You would see the segment, that blue line is the segment that this piece has. The little car is your Google Earth Street View, the little person that you would drop down, and then you have the image with the timestamp. Here's a larger view of the image. You can see it identified the lateral cracking that's right there in the median or right towards the median. That red box top and bottom line is the assessment area. It's only looking at that little area as you're driving. So it's not looking up high yet. It's not looking too far down low. So you have that little window. So we're having to drive each lane at speed, but we're doing it multiple times because we have such a small little window there. So then you would click on one of the roads that you have, and it can give you how many potholes, how many seal cracks, bumps. It gives you all of the data, and then it tells you your AI assessment. The pavement condition is light, the ride quality is good. Now the user can go in and change it if they don't agree with that data. So one of the things is we're helping this company teach their AI. So we're having to go through every segment and say, okay, that's not a pothole, that's a crack, or oh, that's pavers, that's not alligator cracking. So we're teaching them as we're going through. And then if we went in and say we repaved a road, I can go in there and say that road is good. I don't have to go and collect data again. I can just tell the system we've repaved it. And then when I go to recollect that data, I would capture that road at the end of the year. Each road will give you segments. Again, these are all different pieces or different issues they identified, and then how bad or good it is. And then we'll have a dashboard in there that will eventually have live in our digital twin. And hopefully we are thinking about having a public facing and a internal facing, one for us to figure out how we can do our work zones, but then another one to let the public know here's how these roads are going and concerns and issues like that. This dashboard then gives you automatically after we did our assessment, it gave us our 10 best and our 10 worst roads. So now you're able to create your CIP for roadway paving without really having to spend thousands of hours figuring out which roads are we going to do. I thought this was amazing because I was able to give this to one of our streets director, and they're, oh, 7 of these roads are the ones that I was thinking about, but these 3 I didn't even have on my list. So it's able to find things, and that's someone who's been there for a very long time. So you could have decades of experience and you might miss one of these roads, or may just be there the first month and have no idea what roads you have. This will help. So as you go, I can click on my worst road, and then it pops up and tells me all the information about that road. It will tell me the segment, it tells me where it is, and then I can see everything there. So in one stop, I'm seeing everything about my roadway. Okay, now for the potential for scale. The best part, this isn't just a local tool. It's really designed for scale, and that's what the company tried to do. Imagine Central Florida, where all of our data, all of our road conditions are housed maybe in one online portal. And we can all see what's going on in our neighboring cities, or where Seminole County and Altamont, where our roads mix. And then we can start doing a project, and I can say, hey, I'm about to redo this roadway. I can see that your road needs to be repaved as well. Are you planning to do it this year? Oh, we could push it out a couple months, or maybe they'll push it up early. So it's trying to then be more efficient with the work we're doing across different agencies as well. Maybe it's getting the same contract out, having 3 projects bid as one because it's all 436. Something like that is what we're trying to envision and see how we can really help the region, not only just the city. So now is the live demo. Okay, so I will say, as we're still learning with this, there have been some roads that I've clicked on that the data won't pop up right away, so we'll just pick another one. So I will randomly pick any road. We can come in. Right now what it shows, it gives you a focus area. We're looking right now at just overall distress, but we can look at rating, roughness, potholes. So if you look at this map, you see a lot of green and yellow. If we go to potholes, the map changes. Now it's showing red down here, orange. So it instantly shows you visually where the problem areas are and what you need to do. Now we go, okay, I see there's a lot of lateral cracking in this neighborhood. But let's say I go into Spring Oaks, I click on the road, the data comes up. So it tells me what street we're on, how long that segment is, and how many passes we did with our car to see, to collect this data. It gives us all of our segment ID. And what's really cool is now we have this little car and we can actually drive the road and see. And you can change the speed of these pictures. If for a long segment, we wanted to speed it up so you're not sitting there, but you can have it slow down to 10 seconds, 30 seconds per picture and get a real image and idea of what that roadway is. Then you can come down and it will tell you, here's the pavement quality, ride quality overall. And then if we had any notes, any issues in here. So it's telling me right now, it's saying if this was the average for a mile, I think this was only a half-mile segment, that you can anticipate 17 lateral cracks through there where they found about 3 per pass. And it just provides you all of these metrics where now I can go in and it tells me my trouble spots. This road's pretty good, but we can click right here and see it's seeing a repair, it's seeing lateral cracks, and some cracks here. The one thing I will say is right now we're struggling and we're trying to teach the AI pavers. It just sees as cracks. So we have the system right now, basically, if it sees pavers, it's going to black it out. It's not going to evaluate that. And that's something that then pings us to go and evaluate that area. Let's see. And then to go into some of the statistics that I was showing you, you have a dashboard. We can see all of our streets, the lengths. So we only have about 80 miles in the city. But how the data had to be captured, you couldn't stop and start the route. You needed 2 minutes of the camera to basically analyze where it is and figure out where it is. So we just had them start and drive as many roads as they can. If they had to go out into Longwood or Castleberry to turn around, they were just capturing it because it was faster than to stop the car and sit for 4 minutes to then start it up again. That's something we're working with them and trying to figure out how we can make it more efficient to just segment out pieces and not have to do these long stretches. So you can see we have some notes in there. The average pavement score, we were pretty happy with the results, but some of the things I'm finding, we have some roads that we know are a little bit worse than what this had analyzed, so we're truing it up. It's a lot of those. It's the pavers, it's manholes, some of those issues it just has trouble figuring out. But you can go in and we can pick on any one of these roads. And now it tells you right now. So Cedar Brook, and I can just click here and now I'm instantly there. So this is one of the problems we were having with glare. I'm glad we randomly clicked on this one. We're looking at putting the camera outside the car now, potentially using a GoPro or something like that, because we were getting a lot of false positives with glare down here. It was seeing cracks. But then you come right here and now it's fine. But see the dashboard right here, the AI was seeing that and finding it in some spots. So things you wouldn't think of that it's finding. So that's why if we mount it outside, we're also looking at expanding this. There's a mobile LiDAR unit that could be mounted to the bumper of a car that can augment with the computer vision. And those two we're looking at trying to do next year. The same company has that basically where cities or counties can buy it. We're looking to probably rent it for a week or two because we won't need it year round. Yep. And please bear with me. I only have 2 more slides for you all. I just wanted to show we did a quick analysis from Signal 4 from 2023 and 2024, and just seeing a comparison across the state, region, and city with all of these new things that we're putting in. So we just did I would say a traffic calming project on Spring Oaks that was very successful. We've had a few traffic calming projects come in, the Complete Street on 436, this tool with RoboAssist, and then our lane closure notification. All of these tools put together helped contribute to this reduction, where you can see we had a significant serious injury reduction between those 2 years across compared to the state or the county. So I say, if you're thinking of these innovations, these safety improvements, it may take a little while to get things going, but the proof's in the pudding. You just got to put the work in and you'll get a benefit. You'll get that safety. So with that, I'll open it up for questions. I left a couple QR codes up on there, so you can see our lane closure notification, our crane rides, and also our link to our Agile. If you have any questions about that, please find me, call me, throw me an email. I'm here to help.
So, I thought you said something early, like about rideability.
Mhm.
Does it figure out like if it goes up and down or?
Yeah, so it's taking the data that's in the phone and feeling the bumps.
Okay.
And basically that bump, so it also will be dependent, if you're going 5 miles an hour as opposed to 35, you'll feel a different ride quality.
Right.
One of the things we were trying to do, because we do our own trash in the city, is we wanted to mount it to the garbage trucks. But they told us it would be way too bumpy and it's not calibrated for that. And the stopping and starting, our data files would be huge because it would just be pulling video while they're stopping every 10 feet. So what we did, we put it on our pickup trucks, but we also wanted to test it between like a sedan and a truck and see if they're seeing different ride qualities there. But there's also a couple other companies that are doing similar things that we're talking with to see how they're working and seeing how we can blend both, because there's some that are almost proven, and then we have these ones where we're not startups but helping them with it. So
Yeah, I mean, we're using a different company that drives it and it does analysis, and it's pretty good, but we still use the Army Corps of Engineers scoring methodology, so it's still in the 0 to 100% type of thing. And so it looks like that's not, so.
that can be completely, everything in there we can change. We can change the scoring, we can add PCI if we wanted to. Basically, it's completely changeable. It's just, this is what we have right now. This is one of the projects that we're trying to find more time to dedicate to.
No, it's really good. It's very innovative. I like it. So
thank you.
Thank you for the presentation.
Because they drive more and have a wide variety of vehicles. So is there a restriction for some reason on?
I don't
putting them?
believe so. That's actually something we didn't think of. So I will bring that back. I don't see our officers having any issue, but I'd have to make sure that we don't have any ordinance or rules that prohibit Public Works from attaching things to PD. But that's a great idea because they're always out there.
Yes, they drive more and they have a wider variety of vehicles.
Oh yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, how many lane miles do you have in the city, do you know?
I know we have 80 center lane miles. I don't have off the top of my head how
So
many.
it's taken like 3 days to do that?
Mhm.
Wow.
And it was not even 3 full days. It was, so we had 4 interns. They had 2 half days, and then our sign shop had 2 people that did it for 1 day. If you wanted to, you could do the entire city in a day. I can drive every street in the city in 1 day. Now, the county, it would be a lot more, but most of the cities here could probably do it within a week, capture all of that data without having to really stress or push hard.
What was the cost of the project? Like what's their business model?
So the cost has increased. So they're looking, I would say it's significantly less. Like a few years ago, we did a pavement assessment and we were close to the 6 figures mark for the whole study. This is around the 10-20 grand mark. It's based off of how many passes you want to do, how many collections. So we're talking right now, we looked at, let's get 4 collections. We're going to do 1 each year. And then we'll have 1 in the bank for hurricanes because we want to do before and after for hurricanes. I completely forgot to bring that up on this. That was one of the things that we're looking at as well, is hurricanes and our spring cleanup. To go out basically capture all of the data before spring cleanup or before a hurricane, and then right after the hurricane and after spring cleanup, do the same thing and seeing what damage may have happened. So we'll be able to know within a day or two of our entire system where there's issues, maybe where the road failed or where a tree fell down and we're not able to see it. But then we're also able to capture all the data of in the right of way, all the debris, and say, well, that debris wasn't there when we went and picked it up. So now we're able to have that conversation too, because I know a lot of us have probably had those after Milton and Ian saying, hey, my stuff isn't picked up, but we already went through there. So that's something it's going to do as well. But basically, it's based on the number of collections you want to get each year. So that price is about 4 collections a year. And it's comparable to a couple of the other companies I was looking at. There's Road.ai is another one. And they're very similar price points.
I know you said it was about 3 days for you guys to collect the data, but then what was the staff time or the amount of people to go through and assess that collection?
We're still in that process.
Okay.
Right now, so we wanted to get all of the data as fast as we could just to make sure we can start pulling it. And basically, I have 30 minutes to an hour every week to dedicate to this. And I'm trying to get other people, our streets people on it. Now that when we brought this on, it was right around our budget season, and then we were getting all the storm prep ready. And so now we're finally calming down. So now some of our people can dedicate more time. But I would say right now it's going to be a decent amount of dedication for someone to go through and check, because we're teaching the AI. But as it gets smarter, we won't have to teach it as much, where we're noticing just on things we were telling it, like, oh, this issue you're seeing cracking in the Miami gutter, but it's not really cracking, it's this. And then we told it, and now it's picking that up instantly. So as we teach it, it gets less and less work for us on the back end.
Hey, Lenny, this is great. I wanted to ask about, you mentioned signs and markings. Is that a future upgrade to the system?
Yes. So for this program right now, it's just they're confident with the pavement to pavement. They can do outside of pavement, but they're about 70% they're able to capture, and they wanted to have a higher capture rate and confidence before they promoted it out to everybody and gave it to us. We told them we would test it too with ours. So we're looking at doing that this year. But yeah, some of these softwares out there can go and tell you the METCD name, the size of the sign, where it is. Yeah. And that's what we're trying to do, because we have an internal GIS tool that does all of our signs, but it's manual. So I'm trying to find a way to get this so we can at least update, see where everything is. I'm excited for it.
Sounds pretty cool. And I'm guessing Isaiah would probably ask what I'm about to ask. Have they mentioned anything about signal assessments or future?
They have not, but that's something I'll bring up with them. Because right now RoboSys is a smaller shop. I'm basically dealing with the owner, and he developed the algorithm. So if he can see a benefit, I don't see why he wouldn't want to, but I'll bring it up with him. And that could be something that'd be really cool.
Okay, great.
Yeah, just to combo off of that, if you do start testing for like a signal inventory kind of assessment for equipment and everything, we would definitely be able to work together with you if you want to.
Okay.
Any more questions?
I have one. So is this a new program that's come on, the RoboSys, or has it been in for a while? Because you said you picked this. We get calls all the time, people trying to sell the program. So I was just curious.
We started it this year. I believe they have been around for a few years. I'm not sure who their other clients are, but for us, it's been about 6 months to a year. It's when we started all of this.
And then I saw on there, you said, I think the passes was an average of 3. I know some are more, but that's kind of the average that you needed to hit those areas at least 3 times to get.
They recommended if basically 2 passes per lane in each direction. They were like, if it's a local road where it's a 2-lane road, they're like, you could go one way and the other way and you'd probably be fine. But on a larger road, like if you're on a state road, they want each lane multiple times because you're also going at a higher speed. I could go on one of my local roads at 10 miles an hour and they go, you could do 1 pass at 10 miles and you're fine. But you can't do that on a county or a state road. So about 2 passes is what they recommend. But we were trying to get as many as we could.
And you can make as many passes as you want, but it's only the collection data is, like you said, dependent on how many times you want to.
And it's not by day, so it's not like on Monday we collected it, that's a collection. No, it's if you're collecting it for the week, it's one collection. They consider it basically you get the whole data for the city or the entity, and that's one collection. If it took you 3 weeks to collect it because something came up, you're not paying twice, if that makes sense.
Perfect. Thank you.
Moving to Crane's Ride, are you producing real-time information outside of the Beep app?
Right now, no, but we are talking with DOT. I actually have a meeting this afternoon where we're trying to figure out how are we going to have our data get sent to you and to Sunrail once we get to Sunrail, so that our real-time information is being sent to all of it. And we're trying to also get it out to all the navigation providers as well. We have the data going there. It's just getting that stream to actually send it out.
You mentioned what is it, Novia vehicle?
Navia?
Wasn't that the one that was done at University of Michigan?
No, well, it might have been. The Navia I know.
The new one, the
Carson is the new one in Michigan. Navia is what was at Lake Nona here in Orlando and currently in Altamont. Those vehicles required a NHTSA waiver because they're not considered an automobile because they don't have steering wheel or pedals. The Carsons don't require the NHTSA waiver. So I think the Navias are pretty much going to go away outside of probably private entities just because of the requirements with NHTSA. Thank you all.
Okay. We have one TAC-only presentation and 3 common presentations with the TAC meeting. For those who are available, we encourage you to stay for the TAC meeting to view the presentations. The common presentations are the 2050 MTP Boxed Fund application discussion, status updates for the 2050 MTP, informational presentation on FDOT District 5 tentative 5-year work program, and informational presentation on Florida's Turnpike Enterprise tentative 5-year work program. There are several items in the general information section of our agenda packet for your review under section 5. There's a list of upcoming meetings in your agenda, and some noticeable meetings are the Metro Plan Orlando Board will meet on November 12th, 2025. And the next TSMO meeting will be on December 5th, 2025 at our normal time of 8:30. Are there any final comments from members? None. Okay, we have our final public comment opportunity. If any members of the public wish to comment, please use the raise hand function and you will be recognized, or dial *9 on your phone keypad. We will unmute your mic. After you are recognized, please state your name and address for the record and limit your comments to 2 minutes or less. Do we have anyone joining us virtually who would like to make a comment?
No hands raised online.
Okay. Do we have anyone joining us virtually who would like to make, okay, let's see. Sorry. Do we have any members of the public attending in person who wish to make a comment?
No comments received.
No comment cards. Are there any written comments that were submitted before the meeting?
None.
None. Okay. All right. At this time, if there is no further business, we stand adjourned at 9:54. My, this was a long meeting. Thank you all.